Okay, so what you see on my screen here is I have split my screen so that on the left-hand side, we have the Delphix login. On the right-hand side is my ServiceNow instance, where I have my custom catalog item. So let me go ahead and log into Delphix. So we can go to our demo database. And that is running on SQL Server. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you'll see that this one has a few children. We've actually configured this to be part of a self-service template and container. So let me log into that screen so you can see what that looks like. And for those of you who don't know, self-service is a way that Delphix enables end user development and test teams that should not have administrative access to their virtual database to be able to do things like stop and start it, refresh it, and more importantly, leverage what we call bookmarks, which are essentially snapshots of a point in time of that database. So I've got our demo database set up in this self-service template, and development and testing teams would be able to refresh their Delphix VDB containers from one of these bookmarks. The workflow we described will actually create a new bookmark, which would then enable those teams to get that data into their containers, all without giving them access to the underlying database in an administrative fashion. On the left-hand side here, I'm going to open up the actions well here so that you can see what's happening. Over here on the right-hand side, I will go ahead into our custom catalog item. As I mentioned earlier, we have whittled down the necessary inputs from the end user development and testing teams down to the bare minimum required to actually affect the refresh and get what they need into their non-production development environment. The default form from ServiceNow is very complicated, has a lot of drop downs, fields that are required, but that aren't really pertinent to the end users, developers, and testers. And we found that cutting it down to these three gave us the most benefit, because some of those were always being set to the same things. It's always the same ticket queue. It's always the same priority for us. So we whittled it down to the bare minimum. The first thing they will do is choose their specific application. And that is achieved, or I guess a query to the Delphix engine to list what's configured there. We will then also go back to the Delphix engine to determine, once you select what your what your database is, then you will get a choice of snapshots that are available on the system. So I'm going to go ahead and choose, let's say, the 2nd of August. At this point, I can choose a specific bookmark name, and that is something that some application teams require, but others don't. They just want to know the date and time. By default, that's what will show up in the bookmark, the date and time. As you can see on the left-hand side here, there's a couple that have just the actual date and time of the data in that bookmark, and others that have a specific name. So for this demo, I will choose a demo bookmark 1. At this point, after inputting those 3 fields, the client just needs to click on the Order Now button. That will actually create a ticket request in ServiceNow. As you can see, that's actually already started on the left-hand side there, refreshing the demo VDB. Within the ServiceNow ticket item, we actually created 3 catalog tasks. Those represent the milestones I referred to on my slide, and that is refreshing the virtual database, then executing any masking jobs that are required, and finally, creation of the bookmark so that the development and testing teams can refresh their containers. As we configure these as these are standard steps that are configured, and as work is started on each of these steps, you'll see the state change. So step 2, execute masking jobs can only happen after the database is refreshed. So that's still an open item. And then obviously we don't create a bookmark until after the masking job is done. So that's still open. Refresh VDB is actually running here on the left-hand side, as you can see. So that's actually a work in progress. In addition, there will be work notes that will populate in the middle section here with the changes that are occurring to this item. As this refresh continues, once it's done, it will then go to the next step in the ServiceNow workflow, which is the execution of masking jobs that may be associated with this. I believe for that can range in time, but that will change from open to work in progress when that step is running. Sometimes it's quick enough that you don't even see it and it's closed before before you can even refresh it. And then once that's done, it'll go to the next step, which is the creation of the bookmark is the last step. So I'll go ahead and refresh here. As you can see, the bookmark is now being created here on the left-hand side in Delphix. The create bookmark item is a work in progress here on the ServiceNow side. And now that it's done, ServiceNow catalog item is complete. And if I go over here to, I now see my demo bookmark 1, which is the one I just created. Let's see if ServiceNow has picked up that. Yes, now closed, complete. And this obviously, once the ticket is closed, there's an automated notification that goes out to the requester saying their ticket is closed. So this provides that level of visibility that the client was not getting from the manual process, because the administrators update the tickets at different times, and then all of a sudden it's closed. And they didn't even know, more importantly, they didn't know when progress was being made on the ticket, if something was taking more than the expected amount of time because of errors or capacity issues. At this point, we can go back and look at the live system.